Welcome to Spill the Real podcast, the Margarita Book Club for women in their 40s navigating midlife, motherhood, marriage, and that nagging feeling that you should have life figured out by now but don't.
We're two 40-something moms of teenagers, married for years, probably in perimenopause, and still trying to lose the same 20 pounds we've been fighting for a decade.
This isn't about having all of the answers. It's about spilling the real conversations as we wish someone had with us sooner.
So grab a margarita or a coffee and let's spill the real.
Welcome back to Spill the Real podcast. I am excited for today's episode because I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to have to veto to Christy because I left my notes.
It's okay. It's okay. We wing it most of the time anyway, so it's all good. So this week's episode is something we asked our audience about a little bit to kind of give us some things to kind of throw in here, help sprinkle in here, because we're all going to have lots of different. There's going to be so many different aspects of this one. But today's episode is Failure Isn't Fatal, the reinvention after the ruin.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we like to start us off with a real talk question.
Yes.
And man, I just have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts going in my head about all this. So, but
you're going to answer. You did the question and you answer it first.
Shoot. We'll go with that. Okay, so our question is, what's something you once considered a failure but now see differently?
Okay. What do you got?
So for me, I have my degree in my teaching degree, and then I have my master's, my rank 1 in school counseling, K through 12. So I've had my certification, my counseling certification now for probably, I don't know, 5-6 years, I guess. And I have been on many interviews. I really spent a lot of time chasing that dream. When I started taking my counseling classes, I realized this was really where my heart was. And I tried really hard. I interviewed some schools multiple times, different after a counselor left or whatever. I've had to do what I call the walk of shame 3 times, where I've interviewed at my own school and had to not get it, and had to walk in and feel like everybody is staring at me when a lot of people didn't even know I interviewed for it when it come to find out. So, and I wouldn't think this is the part about this episode too. I have to get into this in a minute, that I think we have to think about when we think about failure, but I'm not going to say it yet. I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
But and I have to look at that as, do I feel like I failed? That I've been unable to get that job? Yes, big time. It was devastating. Not every time. I think there were some times that I went for interviews, especially early on, that I felt like, do I really want to be at this school? Do I really want to leave my school now where I am, because I love it so much? No, but I do want the interview experience, and I want to experience the questions they're going to ask me. So when that really big opportunity comes up, I'm ready for it.
Right.
And so I'm at the point now where I've interviewed for it so much, like I would go for every opening, and now I'm not. Pretty sure I'm a professional interviewee. I don't know how you want to say that at this point. But I could look at it. I did look at it as, I failed. I stink at this. I'm not good. I'm not going to be good at this. But you know what? It just wasn't. It hadn't been the right time. Hadn't been the right time, the right fit. I feel like I've dodged some bullets.
Yeah.
So, and I know God's going to put me there if that's what I'm supposed to do. And maybe, you know, those counseling degrees are there for me to be a better teacher.
Mm.
So it it was hard to kind of overcome, especially the ones I really, really wanted
Wanted.
and really thought, oh, this is it. Like, this is the one. Like, this is perfect. Like, I'm in my own school. I know the kids already, and you know. So, anyways,
Mm. I love that you went deep
that went real deep, real
because
fast.
this is a very deep topic for me, and even the next episode that I know that we're going to talk about, sometimes it's even blended for me. But you know what I've always shared with everyone, it's really hard for me to answer this particular question because I look at failure so differently now than I used to because of the self-development, leadership development that I pour into. And so I think if I had to look back at how I see it differently now versus when I was experiencing it in real time, I have to go back to softball.
Mm,
Um, and I think I shared this story. I'm not 100, I don't know at this point what stories we've shared and not
I
shared.
know, that's okay.
But because sports really was a definition of my childhood, and it really saved me in a lot of ways. Like softball, I played softball, and in Kentucky at the time, when I became a sixth grader, that was really when softball converted to fast pitch.
Okay.
And so there was not a lot of, people were still learning and figuring it out. And I remember I wanted to be a pitcher, and I just put everything. I was still navigating. I was a special needs sibling. So there was a lot of things I was navigating. And like in middle school, when you're a female,
That's a tough age.
it is a tough
It's a
age.
tough age.
It's a tough age. And you're trying to figure out who you are.
Mhm.
And how do I fit in? How do I accept myself for who I am? All these things. And so I went all in. I bet on myself as a special needs sibling, as a softball player. And so fast forward, I was really good at my sport, and it was really easy. I say now I would not be the same athlete in this day and age as I was then. It was just different because it wasn't as perfected.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
because I was spending all my time perfecting my skill set, I became really good at it, ahead of most. So
Right.
I was like the first sixth grader to ever start varsity softball, right? So like it was around the state. I was just really good
Yeah.
at pitching. And so I was supposed to go to college to be a pitcher. And there was a lot of things that were offered to me that, I remember when I was going to go to Western, chase a boy. I really wanted to play softball at Western because that's where all my friends were.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought I was not big enough. And so they wanted to redshirt me for like to develop me so I could be stronger and faster. And I was like, what? All these other colleges are not wanting to redshirt me. So I let like pride and kind of ego. I can say that now. You could not have convinced me then.
Right.
Kind of get in the way, right? And so I was like, screw it. I'm not playing. I want to go to Western. If they don't want me and I'm not good enough for them to play like as a freshman, I'm not playing. Which changed the whole trajectory of my entire life. Like I had practiced up to this point to get this offer, to be able to do this.
Yes.
And so I guess now how I see it differently, then I struggled mentally, health wise, for a short period of time of just, it changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity. I didn't who I am. No one's going to know me in college.
Yeah.
Everybody knew me as Amanda Borman, the pitcher, right? And so what would those conversations be? And so at that time, I viewed it as I failed at everything because, I think we think the opposite of success is failure. So if I wasn't successful at this, then I had to fail at it. Right. And so, but I made a choice. It was a choice. Just because that was their response, I still made that choice to not accept and move through that. Anyways, this is getting a little bit longer than it needed to be.
Okay.
But at that time, I viewed it as a failure. Now, fast forward, that's why I always say, like, what I've learned through that and how I see that differently now is it opened up so many more doors that I would have never experienced had I not made the decision or thought I was failed
Right.
to not play college ball, because I put myself through college. I paid for my own way because I opened my first business, Changing Speeds. I was like, that was my first experience as an entrepreneur. So I coached softball.
Yeah.
That was like my love. So I was like able to then realize all this stuff I wanted to do with these young athletes and what
Mhm.
I wanted to influence in them and all. It opened up like another channel of love that I didn't know existed. And I wouldn't have experienced that or met the
Right.
people I met, and probably would have not been as successful as I am had I not had to go through that of like literally the door slammed, what I thought everything was going to happen and I could see my
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
It literally just slammed shut right in front of me. I don't know. And so I viewed it, but now looking back, it was very intentional. God knew exactly what he's doing,
God
what door.
closes a door, he opens a
I
window, right?
know, I know. And
Right?
so I see it differently now, and I probably wouldn't be the woman that I am today with the mindset that I have had I not. That was like the first start of me wanting to figure out, why do I feel like a failure? So that started kind of my development as a person. I had to relearn who I
Yeah.
wanted to be and learn.
Softball ended for you and you didn't know it was the end. Like as far as like
Yeah,
playing and being on a
yeah.
team. That would be hard. That would be a hard pill to swallow, I would think. Like
Well, and then the press, like, it could get me even emotional now, and I'm almost 42, but like all of my parents, all they had invested in me. This was
Mhm.
their dream too.
Yeah.
And so I felt like me making that decision was for me to make on my own. Like I thought my dad might have viewed me as like failing. Oh
Yeah.
my God, why am I
It's
crying?
because girl, we dig so we're digging deep early. All
Anyways,
right.
but he's so proud of me. Like,
Right.
he again, what we didn't know then as a family that we experienced, we thought was the end of the world. Oh my God,
Yes.
what do you mean?
Yes.
You know, um, and then, it was easy me to blame it even at 42. It's still easy me to blame it. It was a boy. I was chasing a boy.
Mm.
But really, it was God's plan
Right.
all along. And I
Right.
just had to lean into what that was. But now that my kids play sports and like, I don't know. It's always a topic. It's always what we
Mhm.
talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we can move on now.
That no, that was good. And we're done. No. So I think when when we talk about failure, um, I I don't know, just kind of starting this and thinking about this, um, and you kind of said this, like it's we feel like a failure. If I looked at somebody else that didn't get a job or whatever, try to interview, I don't look at them and go, God, you're a failure.
Right.
So why do I do
Why do
that
we
to
do it self?
myself? Like there's so many things that I feel like a failure, but if somebody else did that, I'd be like, no, you're fine. Like you're not.
Hmm.
Like there's just some that's just not your path or what. But but we put that pressure on ourselves and shame ourselves
Mm,
into feeling that way. I mean, like we were talking today about parenting fails.
mm,
We feel like that, our like that's a big one. And um I mean, gosh, like it's I've when I think about like what I feel like was I don't want to I didn't dwell into this, but there was always this little part of me that um when Jordan was in the hospital, we've talked about her before. Our baby daughter that we lost to a heart defect. Um, I mean, God, there's a little piece, and maybe other people who've lost children have thought this too. Was there this piece of you that thought I failed them in some way?
mm,
Like I didn't fight hard enough. I
mm,
didn't. I didn't there for me it was, I mean, she developed this in the womb. What did I do?
Mm,
It wasn't hereditary. We did all that. But so there was this little nugget in my head, always in the back of my head is what did I do? What did I eat? What did I breathe in? What did I, did I not take care of myself and her enough to cause that? Like, but we cannot live there.
right.
And we cannot, it's God's plan. And would I ever want to consider God's plan to be a failure? No,
Mm,
no. And so and I think especially as women,
mm,
we, like men, a lot of times, and maybe not as much now as probably earlier years, like whenever, years ago, men were expected to go try something and go put themselves out
mm,
there. And I feel like women felt like if you try to go put yourself out there because you were already expected, like, especially when when they say it's a man's world or,
right.
in business and things where it was, more men ran it, and then women started infiltrating. Is that right?
Yeah,
Infiltrating.
yeah, yeah.
I think women were already expected to fail at so many things, but men were expected to try and try and try, and
Mm.
if you failed, you just kept trying. So I feel like there's probably a little bit of a gender difference there in how we view failure.
Uh, 100% agree. I mean, going through the business world at a very young age and being a woman is definitely viewed in a different way. And I think women are expected to be like the common foundation, the protector, the safety net. Whereas men, they provide for their family. Like that was like ingrained
Mhm.
in us, and so you were just trying to. And if they misstepped, there was more grace for a man than there would be for a
Right.
woman. So I feel as though, yes, even society, even today, I feel like we've gotten better. Like we have gotten better,
Mhm.
but when a woman fails, it could change the whole livelihood because I think women towards women are very judgmental. And I think we're
Mhm.
expecting and waiting for them to fail. Like
Yeah.
there's no way. And then if
Especially
they,
when they put themselves out there doing
oh,
something that you would be terrified to do. You know
uh,
what I mean?
100%. And I think if we see a successful woman, other women, I don't think it's men. I think it's other women that think, well, she must have slept her way to the top or she must have done X, Y, and Z to get like
Yeah.
it
Who does she
never,
know?
who does
Yeah.
she know? It never goes back. Like that is, and I've met with that personally on a personal, very attacked level of people waiting for me to fail and being surprised when I've been
Mm.
successful. And so, yeah, I think you nailed it in reference that I feel like then that makes women not want to take risk, whereas for a man there's a lot more grace um when they fail. And I love them, like, I guess I can't even use the word because I guess that's where real resilience is built. Like, and
Yes.
I almost call it like a successful misstep is really what, like, I've changed my thought process around that just because it might just, whatever this misstep is, it's because it's timing or it's not meant for me right now, or there's something I need to learn in this process to make me better for when I am ready or for whenever I do think the level of success is there. I think how we define failure, we spend so many times defining success, right? Like
Mhm.
every person's definition of success looks different. I think every person's definition of failure looks different
Mhm.
too. Their mindset around success and the mindset around failure. I think we look at it to be the opposite. And I can see this in athletes more. Again, just this is my coaching thing that comes out and what I was in. But I think because in athletes, we look at failure as a win and a loss,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
When you're successful, when you win a game, and it sucks to lose. Like I
Mhm.
hate losing.
You do in
Oh,
all games.
I hate losing no matter what it is. And I think that mentality when we're going into something that can't be measured by a win or a loss, it's not necessarily a game, it's life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That we go there because the opposite of a win is a loss. The
Mm-hmm.
opposite of success we think is
It's failure.
failure.
Yeah.
And so I feel like things that we shouldn't look as failures, it's just part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, our not a misstep, but like just a detour,
Yeah. Right.
or this is meant to happen. How's this serving me? What am I meant to learn in this journey?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think we think we know what success is,
Mm,
but is that's made up in our head. I mean, like when you consider, like, what do we consider successful? Like, I mean, for me, like, I consider, like, getting married, having kids, taking care of those kids, taking care of a house, getting a job, like, but that's success to me in my own personal life. But to somebody else, like, maybe getting married, having children, that's not.
mhm.
So would I consider them failures because they didn't? No.
Right.
Right. So I feel like what we consider success is just maybe goals,
Mm,
not success. Like, it's just achieving something that we wanted,
mhm.
not success. Like, yeah, you can say, well, you're running a successful business. And yeah, that's true. But, that's because it's doing well,
Right.
and things are going well. But when things maybe aren't going so well, we don't say, well, your business is a failure. So
Right.
I feel like the definition we put on that as to what it actually means, it's just really what it means to you personally. Because if somebody else, like, didn't get the counseling jobs that I like me, I would not look at them and be like, you're such a failure. Like, I wouldn't think that about them at all.
Right.
So,
Well, and I think I speak a lot to this in the special needs world, when I'm talking to parents, because I think when you're given a different path than what you expect, it's hard not to analyze that path
mhm,
and figure out, what have I done wrong? What should I have done differently? Or, I don't know that I'm cut out, or I could be good enough to be able, am I enough to be able to do X, Y, and Z? And so I think that what I learned through my parents, actually, with my brother, because, the doctor's given him, like, he would never walk, talk. He'd be a vegetable. He would never amount to any. I mean, the doctor said, like, he'll never amount to anything. Um, and I remember my mom and my dad, it was never that they were chasing like milestones. It was just like they were chasing his happiness.
right.
And I think in in that there's a lesson to be learned for all of us, because I tell other special needs families all the time, like, try to stay living in the moment, and don't measure your child's success on what milestone they
Mhm.
hit. You can want that for them, but that doesn't make you a good mom or a bad mom or
No.
successful or not.
No.
If they never say I love you, you're going to know that they love you in so many other
Right.
ways. But it's still just wanting to hear that.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. So I always say, like, chase happiness. And so it's funny now that I coach a lot of, employees that are in their 20s, and maybe they didn't go to college, and, they're just trying to figure out their way. Like, I don't know what like, society tells us this is what a successful life looks like. You get married, like,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
check all of these boxes. And now that they have done some of those things, but not all those things, they feel like they're not a successful person. And they're like, they're 24, 26 years old. And they're like, well, what's next? Like, we're always looking for what's next, instead of sometimes of, like, I don't know, like, just success for me right now. And what I've learned over the life that I've lived is I'm really just trying to every day redefine what happiness looks like for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
It's not, I used to think, like, well, if I do this, I'll be more successful. But really, what does that mean even?
Right.
I have everything that I actually want.
Yeah.
I am happy.
Yeah.
So everything else is like icing on the cake.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I'm rambling at this point.
And it's just like, just I think we don't want to also just become complacent. Like, we're in our early 40s and okay, we're good. We're done. We're not striving for something else. We're not setting more goals to keep being happy,
Mhm.
because in all of our other episodes, I've mostly have been about, change and things changing and life changing. And
Mhm.
so we have to redefine that ever so often in what comes next. Okay, your kids are getting older. We've been through all that. So, I guess success for me would be my kids growing up being healthy, happy, you know, functioning adults in
Mm.
society, and I would feel successful. Um, finishing out my career in teaching and
Right.
knowing that I've tried my best and did my job, and then I would feel successful. And then whatever comes next, like you said, is icing on the cake. But
Mhm.
what else do I want to achieve? I don't think we're going to lay on our deathbed and think, wow, I was such a failure. Like, this is it. It's over, and I failed because I didn't do X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
Um, so that the when we think about failure and we think about us, like, what kind of expectations are you putting on yourself?
Right.
And um it may just not, what we want is not always the plan. And I know that more than as much as anybody.
Mm.
Like, you think it's going to go this way and it doesn't, and like you said, one door closes and another
Another
one
one
opens.
opens.
Or it's so, but we put that pressure on
I know.
ourselves.
Well, and we definitely, because I think people don't want to celebrate their wins, or there's this ego and pride thing that we can't name our accomplishments.
Yeah.
I just wrote an article recently about legacy, and that legacy oftentimes is how much money you leave behind, what were you able to accomplish, what trophies are on your bookshelf, or what you did. And it's sometimes and I think that we wait to make somebody feel successful or pride them until after
Hmm.
they're gone, right?
Right.
Like, we're
Right.
not celebrating them and being like, you know what, you are doing X, Y, and Z, and that.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I've really tried to focus in on, when we're talking about like legacy and success, is how we make other people feel, and what,
Hmm.
like, the ripple effect and their impact in their
Hmm.
life, that really matters to me. That's the legacy that I want to leave. Um, and so, when we're talking about, I have a point of where I'm getting to. When you're talking about on your deathbed, and we're not like recognizing, we're not saying these are our failures, and we're usually like, I did live a happy life. Like, I
Hmm.
did do X, Y, and Z. Like,
Yeah.
we're waiting too late in the game
Mm.
for us to acknowledge the good that we are, and the things that are well. We tend to spend most people spend most of their energy focusing in on what hasn't happened for them yet,
Mhm.
what they failed at, what they tried and maybe wasn't successful with, and so they're going to beat themselves up. But never once are people being like, you know what? I did X, Y, and Z, and good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think it comes with, like, you're not supposed to be egocentric, or you're not
Right.
supposed to be that confident, and that don't want to make other people feel, I don't know, a certain way or uncomfortable because
Right.
you. And I think then we tend to focus too much on our failures, or our
Mhm.
attempt to be successful, and not honoring and or in doing that for each other.
Right. And yeah, yeah, you don't want, you know, you think it's bragging, or you're afraid other people are going to think it's bragging, or, but I mean, we do need to celebrate our successes or our goals that we've
Hmm.
reached. And um uh, it's hard. It's hard, but I so we kind of threw out for this episode like a question. You all got to see me sweating on the treadmill if you watched my video of kind of talking about this upcoming episode. And we had a mutual friend reach out, and we didn't ask to share her story, so I'm not gonna say her name on here. But um I feel like so many of, and we can't speak on a lot of things because, like, I knew going into this, a lot of people would think about maybe divorce seeming like
Mm,
a failure, like a failed marriage. You call it a failed marriage,
marriage. Yeah, we call it a failure.
um, or like like jobs, like losing a job,
Mm,
getting let go from a job. Um, some things that we maybe didn't have experience with, so we didn't really speak on. But so a mutual friend of ours, she reached out and kind of told her story, and I knew her story. I worked with her years ago, um, but she talked about how she was unable to conceive children her on her own, and how for a long time she viewed that as a failure,
mm,
and she worried that her husband didn't sign up for that.
mm.
Um, and I've had other friends experience that too. Um, and some friends that eventually came to doing IVF or things
Mhm.
like that. But she, due to past health conditions, that was not an option
Option
for
for her.
her. But she ended up adopting two wonderful kids. I remember when she adopted her first, um, and like now she's like, how could I look back at that and think that that was a failure?
Right, right.
Because if I had
Mm,
my own children, I wouldn't have had these
mhm.
two great kids that she and her husband adopted. So um, we can't we can't look at it that way, even though
Mhm.
sometimes it feels that way
Oh,
because there's
when you're experiencing it in the moment, it really can be hard to
it's
get out
so
of that.
hard. Yes.
And even when she shared that story, it took me immediately back to my infertility years and like
Yes.
how, I mean, I the things I said to myself were not okay. I would never say them to someone else,
Right.
but you feel you only I always thought like I only had one job. I had one job, and I cannot do that job by myself. And so it was really so I felt I could feel that some of those emotions coming back up and surfacing. It when you were just talking, I don't know. Again, I say a lot of things in a lot of different scenarios. So I'm like, did I say that on the podcast before? But there's a quote, a friend of mine just shared it recently, and I always love. I should write it down and like put it on my desk. And it says, and I don't quote me exactly, and I didn't come up with this, so I'm probably not going to quote it exactly the same either. But you can't beat yourself up now for something that happened then that only time could teach you.
Mm. Yeah.
um, because time is going to teach you something. So if you're listening to this and you are experiencing like you feel like a failure or something in your life feels like you just failed at something, I know it's harder to go through that because in real time you do self-sabotage. Your mindset is not conditioned to be able to sometimes get yourself out of it,
Right.
but time will be able to teach you
Mhm.
something that you're learning in that moment. And I think because I'm so ingrained to that, even now I remember whenever I was getting my master's in autism, and I really was very passionate about autism. I was thinking, I told my mom, I was like, I think God is preparing me. I'm going to have a child with autism. I think God is preparing. I always looked at things as like what I'm going through, or
Mhm.
some things that are happening. Like, this is God preparing me for
For
something.
something, yeah.
And lo and behold, I didn't have a child with autism, but all my best friends did. I'm like, dang,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he was preparing. So I think seeing life from what is this teaching me right now,
Mhm.
and not to say it's not hard, but if you can look at it not as a failure, but like, what is this is part of my journey,
Mhm.
and leaning into your faith and praying about, we
Yeah.
talked about that, but I don't know. Yeah, this is a lot of deep
This
conversations that can
is,
happen
yeah,
around failure and feeling not enough or
right,
feeling like you've done something wrong or regrets. I think
right.
failure and regrets can get intertwined a lot too.
Yes, yes. And I think too, thinking about this, there's such a big difference in what we experience as failures, like in our 20s, as to what we think now. Like you look back and you go, no, that was just life. Like that was just learning. Like that was just figuring things out. Wasn't failures, So you want to like look at those 20-year-olds and be like, listen, it's you're not a failure. Like that you've got to learn then to
Mhm.
get to where you're going. It's the only
Right.
way. Like if you never failed at anything, you would never learn anything
Mhm.
and you would never figure anything out. I had have a quote too that I
I love a
found. I had a
quote.
quote. It says, maybe this is kind of a long one. Maybe failure isn't falling down. Maybe failure is refusing to get back up because you're too embarrassed someone saw you fall. Every woman you admire has failed at something. The difference isn't that they avoided failure, it's that they kept going after it.
Mm.
So when you look, especially you have to be I don't have very many young listeners, but um, you any woman or person, I mean, you could take the woman out of that and just say
Mhm.
any person you admire um has failed at something.
Ugh.
We all have. We all have.
And if they say they haven't, then they're lying to you. They're lying.
Get out of here. Get out of
I
here.
think the most successful people, whoever you view as successful, the most successful people probably had the most failure in their life, and because they had to learn how to be success. You don't just
No,
happen.
it doesn't just happen to
It
you.
just doesn't. You
Mm-mm.
you learn to be successful, and you learn what's important. You find clarity through your missteps.
Yes. Yes. I always say that to my kids at school. Um, the ones who think they're supposed to get it right every single time.
Mm,
And I'm like, well, if you already knew it, but they get mad because they don't already know the answer. I'm like,
mm,
if you already knew it, then what am I doing here?
right.
Like they're like,
Right.
this is how it's supposed to happen. You're here for a reason. You're here at school for a reason. So you can't come into it expecting to already know it. And just because you may be a smart person, above average, doesn't mean you don't have things to learn. So I have that conversation with my school kiddos every year.
Mm,
And I meant to go look this up and I forgot to do it before. But especially like our age people, um, if you go back and you look at Michael Jordan's
mm.
story,
I know you're quoting Michael Jordan in this stat because of your husband right now.
yes, yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure we have this hanging up on a poster in our garage. I meant to go out and look at it to get exactly right, but it was talking about how many shots he had missed, how many games he had lost. He was cut from his high school team. I can remember all the ways that you would think that he failed, but then look how what his career
Mm-hmm.
was. So, but he had to go through all of that because he didn't just walk in and just was a household name. So he had to stumble and fall and pick himself back up a lot before he ever
Mm.
got to where he was and to be as great as he was.
I think that is why I love sport, like all sports. And that's why I'm so, like I hear a lot of parents, and I'm one of these people, like, oh my God, sports are a year long now. But there's something that sports, no matter what the sport is, will teach you
Yes.
because you are going to not be good at it. You're not going to
Right.
be the all-star on the team. You're not always going to win. You are not always going to hit the shot or knock it out of the park. Like
No.
you are going to be faced more with and come to face more with trying to beat your yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and chasing what success looks like. Not everybody's going to make it to the Super Bowl, but you spend your whole entire life,
Yeah.
if you're a football
Right. And you
person,
may only do it one
and you
time
might only do it one time,
out
and
of
then you might lose the
you're right,
game.
exactly.
But what
But
that
man, you still got there.
teaches,
Yes.
it just teaches discipline and wanting to improve.
Yes.
So even when someone is like when I look at an athlete, no matter when they played. And, I didn't play college. Again, I'm a failure because I didn't play college ball, but looking back of when I see athletes and myself and other people, it is what kind of is a trajectory, I think, of successful people just in life in general,
Mm-hmm.
because how they view things often, setting a goal, going after something, having the discipline to go after it and
Yep.
do. I don't know. I believe that failures, you can't be successful without failure,
Right.
and
Exactly.
trying to embrace it and
Exactly.
actually want it to happen. Obviously I don't
No, it
want to
doesn't feel
lose.
good. It doesn't feel good. I mean, we know, like, it just doesn't. So, but we have to be uncomfortable. Like, if you try to go through life and not fail, then I feel like you're taking the easy way. You're taking
Mhm,
like, you're not putting yourself out there. You're not taking risk. You're just trying to not fail.
mhm.
So that's
It can be implied in so many different ways. Like, I just talked to a friend that recently, had a relationship that ended after 4 years, and I think, I'm like, what you've learned through this, don't not be fearful because of it not being successful, and then you miss out on the chance of love and what that may look
right.
like, but you now have clarity around exactly what you truly want. Like, every step of our journey teaches us something.
Yep.
You just can't look at it as, what should I've done differently? How,
Yeah.
because you done everything the way that it needed to go
Yeah.
for you to learn and do and explore the way, like, life is going to happen.
Right.
I guess my faith is so much stronger than anything that could ever happen to
Oh,
me.
yes. Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of things in my life that would have taken me down if I didn't have my faith in God and his plan. And
Hmm.
no, and a big thing for me is I have to go, if I am call myself a failure, then I'm saying that God doesn't have a plan for me
Mm,
and that he's a failure.
mm,
And that's not true.
so true.
So,
That's a great thing to end on, actually.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that the next time I tell myself that. All right. So, you always have this in your notes. What is the next episode going to be about?
All right. So, and I feel like this one is our next episode
Going
it
to
ties
blend?
right in. It's going to blend right in with this one. And that is the things we don't say out loud, midlife fears.
Mm,
So,
midlife fears.
talking about fears and
I have a lot of them. So
yes,
get ready.
yes.
Buckle up, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a long episode. All right, guys. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That's it for today's meeting of the Margarita Book Club.
Thanks for sitting with us and spilling the real for a little while.
If today's conversation sounded like a lot of your own thoughts, you're definitely not alone.
Follow us on social media at Spill the Real.
And come back next week for another round of Real Talk. Same book club, no reading required.